Hey everybody, what's going on? Today is August 2nd, 2020. I was having a conversation earlier today, and I was trying to think of the best way to describe the year 2020 and everything that's been going on with the virus, but primarily more so with the masks that everyone is now being asked to wear. And the whole mask thing has been one of the more fascinating elements of this coronavirus psyop since the beginning. At first, we were told that masks don't help and there's really no point in wearing one. And now there's phenomenal social pressure from all angles for everyone to mask up. And they're now starting to vilify those who won't wear a mask, calling them selfish, among other things. So what I'm about to show you here is a segment from the television series Brain Games. And in this segment, this woman walks into an eye clinic for an appointment, and essentially they try to figure out what kind of things she'll go along with, and whether or not she'll stand up every time that there's a beep just because everybody else is standing up, and no one gave her a reason why. No one told her what standing up was doing, but because everyone else in the room was doing it, she figured it was good to participate as well. And then this, even after everyone else left, she still kept doing it. And to me, this is a perfect example of what's going on with the masks, is that nobody really understands why they're being asked. Of course, we're being told that there's this deadly virus. However, this mandate is really reaching towards all parts of the nation, even though very few areas are actually being severely impacted enough that it would be a legitimate ask. And of course, there's no science even showing that masks prevent viral transmission. Studies that they've done in the past couple of decades, including one in Hong Kong in 2020, show that masks, particularly N95 masks, the subjects of the study, are not that efficient in preventing the spread of viral transmission. And in fact, hand washing is the only thing they've found that does actually help. But for some reason, they're not mandating hand washing before walking into these stores. They want everyone to wear a mask. Anyway, I'm going to show this experiment here and just kind of show exactly how the human brain works in relation to pressure from outside forces. So let's look at this here.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
For a new appointment.
Have a seat, and they'll be out in just a couple minutes.
Great,
Thanks so much.
By mistake.
Everybody was doing, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do?
And of course, he goes along with it. Now, what I want to point out about this video that I find to be very ironic in light of this being the year 2020 of this massive social experiment. Notice how this experiment takes place in an eye clinic, and they put the subject of the experiment in the only open seat that was in the waiting area, and that one open seat was directly in front of the chart that is used to test people's vision and decide whether or not it's 2020. And I found that to be really strange in light of the fact that this most massive social experiment that we're now all undergoing is happening here in the year 2020. Now, I've probably already done enough to risk a copyright strike. I like to say fair use, but we'll see what YouTube decides. And, this is exactly what's going on now. And you're seeing this in the media now. Here's an ER doctor wants you to wear a mask, and it's social pressure. Think of this woman as one of the people standing up in the clinic as you walk in. And, here's an image of her proudly wearing a mask, or muzzle, as I like to say. Here's another article about going back to work at the office. And here's a nice, attractive office worker wearing a mask. Oh, great. So all the guys who are going back, if you got a crush on someone at work, you see her in a mask. Hey, now it's another reason for you to wear a mask. This is kind of the message that they're sending us. And here's Dr. Birx now saying, hey, masks can be a fashion statement. That's right. You can be cooler if you conform and wear a mask. And that is what this is all about, is conforming, not asking questions, going along with the flow, because they're going to ask us to accept a lot more as time goes on. And remember, the word mask, just one letter off the word mark. And it's no surprise that they'll be asking people to accept the mark of the beast shortly after the mask of the beast. And I want to remind people, back in 2018, I was pretty adamant that 2020 would be the year of the next great cataclysm in the U.S. And, of course, it turned out to be this pandemic. It wasn't a terrorist attack. I do have another post on why I thought it would even happen in Seattle, which is where the first case of coronavirus occurred. And the reason I was able to make this prediction is because I was able to spot a revelation riddle through the numbers. Now, the book of Revelation is the 66th and final book of the Bible. Of course, also the last book of the New Testament. And in Gematria, New Testament sums to 42. Very significant number to the Bible, the King James Bible, with 42 lines per page. And a part of the reason I made this prediction, and remember, I don't set out to make predictions. I observe numerology, and if things line up, I tend to point it out. And of course, this agenda is being pushed by the mainstream media. And back in 1978, the mainstream media gave us this television series called 2020. And it's clear to see what they were getting at here. 2020 being what determines visual acuity. And this is actually pretty interesting if you think about it. Not only is it 2020 in feet, but in the metric system, in Europe, they call this 6-6 vision. And remember, Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, and this television series, 2020, first debuted on the date June 6th. This means that on June 6th this year, in 2020, it was exactly 42 years. And this had a lot to do with why I predicted that June 20th would be a significant date for Donald Trump. Again, 42 years from 1978 to 2020. And then when you look at Donald Trump's presidency, June 20th of that same month was the first day of his 42nd month in office. And this was the date of the Tulsa rally, which was highly ritualistic. And notice how that date also had primary numerology of 66. So this 6-6 2020 riddle. And now here we are in the year 2020 getting perfect visual acuity as to who drinks the mainstream Kool-Aid, who's awake in this world. And of course, the media gives us different definitions of wokeness and being awake, but you know, those of us who are truly awake, or at least to the extent that I hope many of us are, you know, we know that they're going to feed us lies and deceptions and straw men so that other people who aren't awake have a vision of us that's not true. You know, they tend to believe that we think things that aren't true. Notice how New Testament also sums to 66. But yeah, I just wanted to point out this experiment, and not only the experiment itself, which perfectly highlights what's going on with mask wearing in the United States and the rest of the world, but just the, you know, I wonder if it's intentional. You know, the fact that they put her in the one seat that's in front of this vision chart. You know, could they have known as well, the producers of this experiment, that 2020 would be when this would be occurring? I mean, this could be anywhere, right? They could have put her in any place. Why did it have to be an eye clinic? Interesting stuff. Just wanted to bring some attention to that. I got a link to this video in the description below. I also have a link to this post. And a little more on this. I wanted to point out that, you know, Trump has the same gematria as Beast. 8847, Beast 8847. And in the book of Revelation, the Beast ruling for 42 months, Trump ruling for 42 months, the same month that 2020 turns 42 years old. Again, these aren't coincidences. These are clues into what's going on in this reality. And it's why I was able to make a post as far back as 2018 saying that, hey, 2020 looks like some real shit's going to happen. And again, this has to do with the twin eclipses. 2020 is the midway point between the two great American total solar eclipses. And of course, this is called the coronavirus. The corona. The atmosphere of the sun only visible during a total solar eclipse. Remember the bubonic plague, 1331 was a year that they credit for being the year that that began to be spread. And that was in China the same year as the only total solar eclipse in history whose path of totality never touched a major body of water. All right, guys, thanks for popping in. Peace, love, God bless. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.